Yes, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. It is Connor here. It is One Leeds. I'm back with Brownie. I am back with KG. And of course, it's your Monday night session. It's your cathartic session, your therapy session. We are back here with the debrief. Leeds United picking up a positive result. A great performance. Everybody shows the love in the comments. Keep getting your thoughts in. We'll try touch on them as discussion points. We've got loads to get through tonight. So as I said, keep them flooding in. I can see loads of you already in the comment section below. A lot of Paul saying 2 points dropped. We're not starting this off well, Paul. Paul says 2 points dropped yesterday. Rubbish finishing. Harrison needs resting. Lost all his confidence. Not a great start. Gerard says evening. Connor, oi oi, says Joe Madigan. We've only lost 2 in our last 12 at home, says T is for Tommy. So there you go. John B coming in here with the dream panel. Lads, how are we doing? I can hear a bit of an echo. Is there a little bit of an echo that everybody can hear in the comment section below? Just making sure that's all right. It's not you. Okay, that's fine. We'll go with that. It might be me. Anyway, we'll get into it. KG, back to our best, mate. Really, Leeds United back to the best.
Yeah, it was definitely our best performance of the season, easily. The only and I'll get it out of the way. The only negative about it was our finishing, our lack of clinical finishing. That was the only thing that was missing from that performance, because we did outplay Leicester. We kept Vardy quiet, Tielemans quiet. Listen, we did a really good job on these guys, and if it wasn't for the lack of a finisher up front, we would have run away with that game. So it was very encouraging to see the boys play like that again. Only last week I said about worrying about results only, never mind performances, but it was good to see the performance come back again. So yeah, all good, all good, really good. I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on individuals later, but Pascal Stroup, left back, and he's making the overlap for us at left back. Up until like the last 20. Raphinha was his great self yet again. Our one only goal threat, which is a problem at right now. Llorente's passing, Forshaw, of course. I'm sure we'll touch on him. So yeah, it was all good.
Yeah, I thought it was we massively deserved the win. I thought we were unlucky. We were back to it. I love the high press. I love the aggression, the passing, the ball recoveries. Brown, it was absolutely fantastic, really. And as KG said, the only thing missing was the win.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, echo what KG says. It was by far our best performance of the season. Ellen Murd was rocking again. Good stat that got caught up then. We've only lost 2 of our last 12 home games. Over our last 5 games, we've only conceded 4. We've definitely seen a shift over the last few weeks. And yesterday we saw a performance to match it. I'm not going to say Leeds are back, but it felt like Leeds United of last year. It's only 1 game, so we need to see that over the next few weeks. Well, obviously in the national break, but over the next few games, we want to see that consistently. But it did feel like that Leeds United of last year. The hunting the ball down was back. The press was back. Like KG said, we had fullbacks going on. I think Dallas did that well as well on the other side. He seemed to be getting forward more than Shackleton has done in the last few weeks. I thought it was massive help that Forshaw was in there, another anchor. It didn't seem like, we've said it so many times this season where teams have just come and just gone straight through the middle of us. I didn't see that yesterday. I didn't see them just carving straight through the middle. It was just that final finish. And I think we had 3 huge chances in that second half. The Harrison one from under the bar, the Rodrigo volley, and I think Dan James late on as well, where we've won it, we've nicked it back, and we've got into the edge of the box and he's blazed over. But on the flip side, they've had VAR to the rescue, and Sonchoi has had an unbelievable chance at the back post as well. So they'll probably say that they've had a couple of chances. But I think on the balance of play, I wouldn't say it's 2-point drop, because I think every man and his dog would have said, look, we'd take a point. But at half time, I remember in the ground thinking exactly the same. We need to really go on and win this. But towards the end of it, probably take a point, wouldn't you, against Leicester?
Yeah, 100%. I thought the first 10 minutes sort of epitomised it. Leeds were absolutely on it. And I don't think they could get out. they could not get out Leicester. They were really, really struggling. They were pending. Leeds' fullbacks were high. Ademola Lookman, straight away, you could see Pascal Stroup had been told to, keep that man marking up. And any time he was facing his own goal, Stroup was right in behind him. That worked exceptionally well. A few nervous moments in the first 10, obviously that Llorente incident. But another thing was, the incident where Llorente pulled down. He pulled down Jamie Vardy, didn't he, on the edge of the box, and it was quite a contentious issue because I think VAR must have thought that the Leicester player touched it last, which essentially meant that Vardy was offside. Now Pascal definitely touched that last, which I don't know what VAR were looking at, but there were definitely some hairy moments in that first 5 or 10 minutes. But overall, KG, Leeds just stamped their authority down, and Leicester really didn't know what to do.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of other moments where it was a bit shaky. The one where Cooper's lost the ball, and then not only did he try and hack the guy down, he almost tried to pull him back as well. And then he thought better of it. So, and also there was a time where Forshaw did pass it out to Tielemans, who just missed, the far post. So there's always going to be a couple. We're not down at that end because we've got a great defensive system right now. But that aside, I thought we was great. I mean, Dan James, there's been a lot of talk about Dan James, but he is the one that is giving us the most energy at the moment going forward. And if he could just give us a shot on target, it would be so helpful. The thing with me with Dan James, I'm not giving up on him just yet because I think that there's still more to go. I think he's still got a lot more learning to do under Bielsa. But he gets himself into such good positions, but he's just got no composure right now. It goes everywhere except for on target. And when he does hit them on target, they're a little bit soft. But he had a few chances where he could have put them in. And it's funny, I saw a stat that we've scored most of our goals from left footers lately. And the times where Dan James was getting in those areas, it could have done with a left footer. But, we can't do nothing about that. But listen, I think Dan James pressing from the front is a good thing. Harrison needs, in my predicted 11, I did have him out of the team for the starting. I just got to think it's got to click for him one day. I don't think he's turned a bad player overnight. I just think it's a lack of confidence, maybe the COVID too. I just think he needs that one assist, that one good assist, one goal, and we'll get Harrison back.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with Harrison, isn't it? And that's one I want to touch on a little bit later on as well. But I couldn't agree more, to be honest, KG. There were a couple of, as I said at the start, hairy spells, but what a lot of people don't understand with Dan James is, he is playing a centre forwards role. He's not really played his designated position, which he's used to playing. Right at this moment in time, he's been asked to play a centre forward role, really, and that ball over the top is what Leeds were clearly aiming for, and I've been aiming for the past couple of weeks, to be honest. That rotation between him and Rodrigo is really nice. But yeah, I think it's definitely a tactic that is working, and the press that he implements is definitely the reason Leeds spent that big money on him. But yeah, I thought Leeds were very, very good, but the finishing, Brownie, let's talk about it. As an ex-striker yourself, I mean, the Harrison one, which I couldn't quite believe didn't go in. I mean, I don't know how that doesn't go in. I think I know, we can all say the ball came at him a little bit quickly. Maybe he wasn't anticipating it. That has to go in. That simply has to go in. He's a yard and a half out. That has to go. It's harder to miss. And obviously we had a really decent effort with Rodrigo as well, where he's got to hit the target there. Is it too easy to say that with Bamford we win that game?
No, I don't think it is. Because I think you find that Bamford is that person in that position. Like KG says, Dan James has been down the middle quite a bit. We've had Harrison down. They seem to be interchanging a lot. And Cooper especially was trying that ball over the top for Dan James, which was the one we were trying to look to get in behind. The Harrison one, it's just one of them where just let it hit you. Rather than actually instigating the contact, just let it hit you. And it just goes in the net. But it just seemed... It's not an isolated person. Like you say, Rodrigo had a chance. Harrison had a chance. James had a chance. It seems to be contagious at the minute that no matter who's in that penalty box, it's just not dropping in the net. And like I touched on, I think there's only 2 teams in the Premier League that have conceded less than Leeds in the last 5 games. But on the flip side, we've only scored 5 in them 5 games. So it sounds weird for Leeds that we're over the last few weeks defensively better, but we used to seeing these 4-3s and 4-1s and 4-2s, whereas it seems to have completely gone the other way. We are. I mean, I know Norwich scored 2, but we've had a 0-0. We've had, do you know what I mean, a 1 that should have been 3. I don't know, but they could say the same. Like I said before, they've had a few where Tielemans has gone through, Sonchoi's had a chance at the back post. I think both teams had good chances, but I think we had more of them.
Yeah, no, I'd completely agree with that. Do you want to? Should we touch on Jack Harrison? I know. We're just having a little bit of a discussion there with him, and obviously we're going to get into the utmost positives, which there were. There were a lot of them yesterday, which is great. Guys, there's about 390 of you watching now, so make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to KG, follow Brownie's Twitter, and obviously One Leeds Twitter and my own as well. Links will be in the description below. But Jack Harrison, it's a bit of a conundrum, isn't it, with Jack? You know, eight goals last season, 8 assists, was unplayable at times. I thought he was really good. That balance was excellent on that left-hand side. I can't really put my finger on it. Someone said to me today, is it the crowd? You know, with regards to his time at Leeds, you know, there has been confidence dips, hasn't there, when the crowd might have been a little bit on his back. And it is an interesting one right now because he's really, really out of form, KG, for me. There was bits in the first half where I thought he was actually really decent. You know, he had a good save. He had a good shot save, by Kasper Schmeichel. But I think overall, with the amount of production that we had on that left-hand side and the amount of times he was going 1 versus 1, and there had to be more from that side, didn't there?
Yeah, and this was the thing for me as well. There's a bit of an echo. Hold on.
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of an echo. Brownie it's not on your side, is it? I don't know how we'd sort that, but
no idea, mate. I'm sat.
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, no. With Harrison, like Connor said, in the first half there was glimpses of the old Harrison bat, but then once that chance, what you're talking about, where it seemed to hit both his knees and go over, a few crosses that just did not beat the first man, etc. He just seemed to be losing confidence as the game went on, and it's unfortunate with Jack since he signed permanently, and you don't want to think of that, but once he got the permanent deal, has the work rate gone down? Because we'd accuse it of other players when they sign for other teams. You know, it's happened to a few players. Well, Joe Willock, he was good at Newcastle. Haven't seen a sniff of him this season. But for me, I just don't think it's that. I just think with Harrison, it is purely a loss of confidence. And you can see that every time he's doing something wrong, his head's in the sky. He's got his head in his hands.
KG seems to do that an awful lot, doesn't he? It's so obvious with Jack Harrison when his confidence is low. He just looks up at the sky, his head is in his hands, and it's very evident that he's on a low ebb.
Yeah. And even on that left-hand side, he had Pascal Stroup. And as good as Pascal Stroup was overlapping, we don't know what kind of cross we would have got from Pascal. So maybe that's why he's used as a decoy. But that was the thing as well. That was odd as well as the game went on, because Raphinha was clearly our most influential player yesterday. Like, clearly as well. Why the ball just kept on going to the left instead? Because that Raphinha-Dallas tandem down the right was actually working. And it was just weird how, whether it's the boys just trying to get Harrison into the game and keep on giving him touches to see if it got better, it just seemed to go down the left, especially in the second half, rather than down the right to Raphinha and Dallas. It was a bit weird.
Yeah. For me, on the crowd, touching on the crowd, in the ground, there's been no negativity towards Jack Harrison. There's been no boos. There's been no groans. So I wouldn't go down that route. And I'd also go even further with the confidence thing. He's still going to get on the ball. Like, sometimes when you're going through low confidence, as if you don't want the ball anywhere near you, you go hiding. And I'm not seeing that from Jack Harrison. Every time he's still wanting it. He's still going to get it, which for me is a positive. I think you're right, though. He just needs something to just hit. It could have been that on yesterday. Just let it hit him and go in the goal. He just needs something to come off. Because you're right, we are seeing this look to the heavens far too much. But yeah, the only positive I can pull from Jack Harrison at the minute is he's not hiding. He knows he's in a bit of a rut, and he's still going after the ball.
That's a good point.
Yeah, because and just to expand on that as well, because we have seen players that have been in the team that really do not want to touch the ball now, especially since the crowd has been back. Harrison isn't one of those. So there are positives to his game. We just have to keep sticking behind him because there is still a good player in there, definitely.
Yeah, I mean that's obvious from last season, isn't it? More goal contributions than Jack Grealish, super duper Jack. Okay, should we touch on Pascal? Because I think we all saw the lineup and maybe we all thought, ooh, what's this all about? He's played there for the under-23s before, very sparingly in the absence of Tom Pearce and Leif Davis. But this was a rarity. Now, 87 kilograms is Pascal Stroup, 6'4". Now, the only person I can think that's of that stature that has played left back in the Premier League has been Dan Burn, and I'm not comparing him to Dan Burn because I think Pascal was that good on the overlap and he's just much better defensively. But listen, as we've spoken about, Ademola Lookman can be a very, very dangerous, tricky customer, especially one versus one. But I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and strangely enough, maybe not strangely actually, he was offering an overlap. We saw the overlap for the first time on the left-hand side in so long, and it was effective. He was drawing, their right-hand side out of position. He was effective in doing so, and he wanted the ball. I thought, overall, absolutely phenomenal performance from Pascal Stroup, KG.
Yeah, listen, for me, and I said it on my match reaction, he's becoming one of our players that we cannot do without in the squad, much like Dallas, where he just fits in everywhere and does it. Pascal Stroup, whenever he got that instruction, hey, Pascal, you're playing at left back, he's just gone, okay, and I'm going to get on with it. Yes, we know that the defensive midfield isn't his strongest suit, but even from there now, he's starting to ping in passes ahead of him rather than play it back. The guy is just so adaptable and important to this team, and how young he is, and he's only going to get better. Like I love Pascal Stroup. He's one of my favorite players in this team, just for the potential of where he's going. And I think as well, once he picks his international team where he decides to go, he's only going to get better as well from that point as well. You're just asking him to play centre back. He'll play on the left side, right side, defensive midfield, left back. I can't say enough about him. I just think that he's one of these players now that is going to be key for us going forward. Because for me, I said last season, and I stick to it, my preferred lineup centre backs would have been Stroup and Llorente. And for me, I think that is it going forward as well. Just a beautiful centre back in possession of the ball as well.
I think the Ajax academy was obviously where he came through as well. Notoriously excellent ball players.
Yes,
and it really does seem that he's he's got the fruit of those labours. Really, I mean, stat down here. Apparently, he was in the entire 22 on the field. Pascal Stroup made more forward passes than anybody on the field, it's a staggering statistic for someone who is just being. He's a centre back.
Yeah, but Connor, it's not unexpected because between him and Llorente, those are the two guys that not only can defend well, get positionally sound most of the time, but they're the ones that look for forward passes the most. And so that does not surprise me with Pascal at all.
It's a maturity for me as well. Like you say, he's 21, and it almost feels like he's an old head on young shoulders already. It's players develop at different ages, of course, but he just seems so mature. You know, like Katie says, some players will get told you're playing out of position, and some people would sulk. The word. Some people are, I don't want to play there. And Pascal is definitely one that you could put in that category because he's played there, he's played centre back, he's played left back. Some players just want to think, can I just play in my own position? But Pascal never seems to get to play. I can't remember the last time he played. So, do you know what I mean? And just touching on Llorente as well, I mean, it's just key to have our key players in the team more often, and it's no coincidence that now we're seeing these key players come back in, that we are doing better. I read yesterday that in Llorente's last 17 league games for Leeds, we've not conceded more than one goal when he's played. That's no coincidence.
No, it doesn't surprise me.
It's no coincidence. I mean, I put the kiss of death on that when we go to Tottenham. But over the last 17 games, when Llorente's played, we've conceded one or less, which I couldn't believe. I had to actually check it out, and it was true. And we just need the key players to come back in. So we've got our key players coming back in at the back. We just need that focal point coming back in at the top, and I think it marries up and we can kick on.
Yeah,
just to add on, Brian, it's good to see that Llorente stayed healthy for a run of games as well.
Definitely.
Not on a selfish note, I was gutted to see him called up for Spain. Just wanted him to have nice 10 days rest, but fair play to him. He's got himself back into the Spain squad with Rodrigo as well. They've both dug themselves back in, which, I mean, the Spanish internationals, do you know what I mean? It sounds crazy.
Yeah. Michael Brownie. I wonder if we've got Tongi in. I wonder if we've got Tongi in the chat as well. Pascal was interviewed yesterday. Cage is getting Chef Wednesday vibes again. Pascal was interviewed yesterday about his left back position. He said that he has played in that position before in the under-23s, but not at the level of the Premier League, and it did not faze him. We know that, and it's fantastic to hear as well, because once again with this Marcelo Bielsa system, he is proven us wrong again. We'll get on to the, a lot of people would have said get rid of Forshaw and all this sort of stuff, and we'll get onto that in a bit. And it's not who said this and who said that, but with regards to Stroup and making this relevant, a lot of people would have said, Leeds need to get in another left back. I was one of them, 100%. I was thinking to myself, I'd love to get in another left back. Obviously, Leif Davis went, but was this the plan all along? Was this the plan? And this is why I guess the guy is he's a world class coach. But a lot of people talking about where is Firpo? Not 100% sure. Gary Keith is saying Pascal.
It's a strange one. Just before you go into that, the Firpo thing is so strange.
Yeah, he was at Real Betis last night, wasn't he?
He was, yeah.
I just don't get it. Like, he came back in that Friday night 23 games, played half an hour. You think, oh, here we go. He's just played half an hour. He'll be playing against Norwich, and he's been nowhere. He's been nowhere to be seen. And then he's popping up at Real Betis. I don't know. It's a strange one. The whole situation is strange.
What I've said about Firpo, though, is that he's new to Marcelo Bielsa's training, and he hasn't played a lot of football. And if you remember, much like when Marcelo first came in, a lot of our players were getting muscle injuries here and there. If you remember that, all of a sudden out of nowhere, Roof would be out for 6 weeks, Bamford would be out, and etc. etc. Maybe he's going through that until they give us more information. That's kind of the thought. That's kind of the train of thought I'm going with right now, just because it's happened to so many players when they first joined Leeds United, and especially when Marcelo first came in. So he hasn't played a lot of football at Barca, and he's got to get used to this system, and his fitness has got to get up to speed. And I think that's possibly it.
I think you're spot on, and I think you can throw, and not to the injury point of it, but I think you can throw Dan James into that a bit. In the Championship, then when Helder Costa came in, we didn't see him till like October, November. It took a long time for these players to be integrated, and Dan James has been, through injuries, he has to play. He's been thrown straight in, and we've take the price tag out of it. Dan James doesn't pick how much he gets sold for. We're giving Tyler Roberts this time because he's 22 years old. I think people need to remember Dan James, he's only 23. He's a similar age. So if we're giving one person time, I think the other person deserves a little bit of time as well.
Jake Martin, Brownie in Ultra HD today.
It looks clear from my end.
It does. No, it is.
That's what he's saying.
No, that's what he's saying. It's because last week I think your internet was playing up a bit, wasn't it? So he's saying Ultra HD. There you go. Thanks for your comment, Jake.
Connor, just before you get to the next point, because I don't know if it will be mentioned, but I just want to say, I mentioned it on mine yesterday, but let's tell the wider audience. Calvin Phillips yesterday was leading on the pitch. Like, he wasn't letting the referee go and speak to Brendan Rodgers or their players by himself. He was there all the time. And I love seeing that yesterday. We've spoken about this on here before. But he was talking a lot, and he was making sure that the referee and Brendan Rodgers, the players, weren't just talking amongst themselves and getting in his head. He was there just making sure, no, make sure you keep calling this fairly. And he wasn't doing it in a way that Marcelo wouldn't have approved of. He was doing this thing. And that's, for me, why Calvin Phillips is a leader on and off the pitch for us, man. He is our captain, in all fairness. That's the way I see him. So, yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Calvin for that leadership on the pitch.
And it was good to see, because like you say, we mentioned that after the Norwich game about, and especially the Wolves game, with Cody was just doing what he wanted and in the ref's face, and we weren't really saying anything. And I think the Norwich game was a bit of a turning point, because I think whenever Phillips touched someone, the ref was blowing a foul, and you could see during the game, at Norwich, the referee called Cooper over to speak to him and Phillips at the same time because Phillips was beginning to lose his head a bit. So I think he's just had enough of it, to be honest. And like you say, it's good to highlight that he has done that because it's needed.
Yeah. No, I think that's a solid point, KG. I think that's a really, really good point. And listen, I think we'll get into more of that when we have the new segment of the show, which is going to be called Ref Watch. And we've got Darren England later on, which I'm sure we're going to be sticking into. So we will be bringing up the leadership and all that lovely stuff at that section. So make sure you stay tuned. I'm sure a nice little rant from old Dave Brown over there.
I'm sorry. Yeah, and someone in the chat just bringing up a viewer's comment there. Raphinha was doing it too. He was leading on the pitch as well. He was telling players where they should be, where to receive passes. That's the kind of leadership that I look for on the pitch. That's all.
I think you've seen Raphinha have enough of it as well after the West Ham game. He went to social media to say the Premier League's got the best refs. And I think generally they've just had enough of it. Because we'll get into Ref Watch later, but God Almighty, don't matter. We'll save it for later. I've heard the word referee and I'm getting wound up. So I'll just sit down and we'll wait for later.
I want to have a shout out as well, and everybody get in the comment section below about this. I want to talk about Stuart Dallas, and I want to just say it from a personal perspective as well, because obviously we know the guy's been through it all. Recently as well, he's been through an absolute horror show with regards to one of his best friends. So we sent our condolences a couple of weeks ago on the show, but isn't it absolutely fantastic to see after that vulnerable interview he did, where he really came out, spoke about maybe some of the mental health issues he's had, after he sort of laid that all out on the line. I think against Norwich we saw a massive improvement. And yesterday against Leicester City, I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. I thought he was the overlaps. I thought his pass completion was so far high. He was always available for the ball. I would maybe have said a little bit earlier on this season that in periods he might have been hiding from it a little bit, but he was consistently talking as well to Llorente, which was great to see. And he was a real leader on the pitch. And I just want a special mention to Stuart, because I don't think there's maybe been enough said about his performance yesterday, KG.
Yeah, I mean, apart from, I would say the goal, I don't know whether he could have jumped a bit more or cut it out, whatever that may be, but the rest of the game...
And KG, just on that as well, if that Lookman goal would have...
the offside, I was going to say, But all that aside, I really do think him coming out telling everyone as lifted the weight off his shoulders a bit as well, because I just knew when I was doing my match reviews I would never go in on Dallas because I know what he's capable of, and I just could see he was either hurt, he was either having personal problems, didn't go into it because you don't know, and then because he pulled out of international duty at one point, if everyone remembers, and there was just no way that guy from last season was what we were seeing earlier this season. So he's told everybody what it is, and he's coming back into form, and that's only a benefit for us, obviously. But again, Dallas, much like Stroik, right back today, Dallas. Okay, and he just does it, And him and Raphinha linked up so well down the right, as I mentioned earlier. So I don't want to go back onto that again. But yeah, so good to see Stuart playing with a smile again. I love that the fans there showed their appreciation. He must know that he's loved at Leeds United, because I love the guy as well. So yeah, good to see him back.
Yeah, I was just going to say what Cage said then at the end, that his name got chanted a fair few times yesterday. And I think that interview did help massively, because his performances weren't great. People were umming and ahhing, what's up. Once people know and understand the human at the end of the day. And back to his best. And I do think he's one of them players that finishes his career at Leeds.
Yeah. And Connor, just because it's been mentioned a few times, Gerhardt, because I did wonder that on my stream too, but apparently he took a knock in the under-23s against Manchester United, so he didn't feel ready to play, and I'm very happy about that, because I don't want him to play half fit, not do the thing, and then everyone says, look, he wasn't ready. If he's not fully fit, I want to see Gerhardt just stay away. Then when he's ready, come back in and do the business until Bamford comes back.
Yeah, so it was great in that as well, because that was a game, that last 15, 20 minutes for him. There was so much space opening up and players were driving. How many times did Dan James drive towards the box and Rodrigo? It had been great to see him running towards the cop yesterday. But like you say, KG, he's got to be right.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing as well. We saw it with Michael Owen, didn't we? When he was a young boy and he was overplayed, there is a thing called overtraining, and you don't want to be doing that if he's carrying any sort of knocks. So I think that's definitely something to bear in mind. Brendan Rodgers said after the game that it was a traditional, old school, fantastic English game. And I was doing his press conference yesterday, and he was very, very complimentary, as always. You know, you get from Brendan Rodgers. Apparently, he spent a couple of hours with Bielsa as well before the match, discussing everything, tactical nuances, this, that, and the other, which I'm sure was a great experience from him. But once again, we're seeing Ellen Road, I think, slowly turning into a little bit of a fortress in the Premier League. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, KG. I think the volume again yesterday when it got to sort of the second half, I mean, that's how it emanated from the TV anyway. Obviously, I can't get down there because I'm working every Saturday and Sunday, but that's how it sounded. It sounded absolutely fantastic. Obviously, Brownie, you were there, but KG, do you think it is really driving us on in these games?
We've got one of the modern grounds in the Premier League, which players aren't used to. They're used to, like West Ham have moved into a more modern stadium where the fans are a bit further back. You could see when the Leicester players were about to take a photo, they were getting nervous when the crowd started to say, "Oh, hurry up, hurry up." They were getting a little, they were looking a little shook. That's what we need to do at Leeds United. Everyone knows, Gary Neville said it many times, he hated going to Ellen Road. That's what we need to do. That's part of our makeup to make us difficult to beat. And that's what gave me a bit of hope as well, as much as Leicester's form as well, that we would get something out the game before we kicked off. So, yeah, we need to turn it into a fortress again. And just on Brendan Rodgers, just quickly, because I do like him as a coach as well, but he didn't get the same excuses that Jurgen Klopp did for Liverpool with their injuries, because Leicester had a lot of players going down last year. They lost about 3 fullbacks, Maddison, Barnes, multiple players, and that's why they dropped out the top 4. So it's not that he's a bottle job. It's just that the players were starting to get hurt in key areas. So shout out to Brendan Rodgers, man.
KG, quickly on that as well. And just to add to that, the strength of their squad at the weekend in terms of injuries. We were talking about it on our WhatsApp group, the amount of players that had coming back. Another thing, which is a feather in the cap for Leeds United, is, when you look at our squad and the leaders that are out of our team at the minute, when you look at maybe a Luke Ayling and obviously a Patrick Bamford, when you look at the assets that they had coming off the bench. I mean, you're bringing James Maddison off the bench in the 65th minute. They had artillery everywhere. And I think that's another massive positive for Leeds United, that we were able to go toe for toe and better them.
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember their bench, but I don't know if they had Daka on there or Ian Acho. But you're talking some real top quality talent here that they could have just put on and changed the game, especially the way it was going, because we was on the front foot. And it does, those kind of substitutions do turn it usually. They bring on a player that quality, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh dear. But we that's how good we were on the weekend. So that's why it's just so good to see us playing that kind of football again.
Yeah, Brownie just the bench, and I don't know if you've got it on you now, but it is James Maddison, Danny Ward, Ian Acho, Perez, Amati, Vestergaard, Patson, Daka, and Luke Thomas. So, I mean, it's a huge bench, and let's be right. Leicester are contesting for top 4, top 6, whatever you want to call it. So they're a top side. I don't want to focus on that too much about what Roger said. And we obviously know that the Leeds crowd is incredible, and it's going to be a massive force for us this year. I want to talk about Raphinha's skills. There were a few of them yesterday, and my dad went there down to Ellen Road, and it was his first game in so many years because he worked shifts, and he just came back, and his first words were, "Wow, that Brazilian," and just the amount of times he was breaking ankles yesterday. There was a bit on the left where I think him and Dallas had a really nice interchange, and he ran down the flank, and there was the bit on the other side when he ruined Soyuncu. Soyuncu tried to get tight to him, and he just pinged it through his legs. And this is the thing, Brownie. The problem with Raphinha is I don't know how you mark him, because you get too tight to him, he spins you. You stay off him, he's going to run at you and beat you. He's impossible to defend against, really.
I think he's helping to the atmosphere, to be honest, because he's doing something like that every 3 or 4 minutes. And it's like you see a big tackle go in, a nice bit of skill, the crowd are up again, and the crowd at Ellen Road's huge. And with a Raphinha thrown in there as well, megging someone every 5 seconds and making someone look an idiot, it's just like a party all the time. And yeah, I've said it last year when it was behind closed doors and I've never actually seen him in the flesh. Been to every home game this year and a fair few away games. He's the best player I've seen play for Leeds in my lifetime. And I've been to Champions League games. That's how highly I rate him. I loved Boyer. I loved him that went to the dark side. I liked him that went to...
Brownie, is that including opposition players that have come to Ellen Road in Champions League games that you've seen?
Played for Leeds.
Oh, I'm interested in what obviously you'd have probably been there. We've seen
Barcelona. I've seen Rivaldo come to Ellen Road.
Yeah, okay. I was just seeing where he is in this
for me,
conversation.
He's the best player I've seen wear a Leeds shirt at Ellen Road.
Quick shout out to Rivaldo as well. But what a baller! Yeah. Anyway, I absolutely loved Rivaldo.
Just wanted to taper it a little bit. There's been Rivaldo, Ronaldo, Roberto Carlos, and that come to Ellen Road.
Mate, Rivaldo doesn't get mentioned enough. It's always Ronaldinho and R9, but Rivaldo.
Yeah. Connor, do you remember it was at the new camp though where Michael Dubry went sliding, and Rivaldo put it top corner? I think he's still sliding now. It was crazy.
That 4, I think they hit us for 4 that night.
Yeah, that was the one year. Michael Dubry went for a slide tackle, just went near the corner flag, man. It was crazy, man.
As for how do you defend against it, sometimes you can't. As you see it, sometimes you just genuinely can't. I mean, the one in front of the dugouts was a joke. He had 3 men behind him. Yeah, he was getting pressured. He was getting pushed. He was getting pushed. They were bam, bam, and he was like running through on goal. It was like
shout out to Dallas there. Dallas anticipated that as well and got a whack from Samore as well.
Yeah, and just so to add as well, he had a couple of interceptions. He won his duels. The guy is giving the full performance down on the right-hand side. And that's for me why he was my man of the match. I know we'll go on to Forshaw, and I know it was good for him to come back and everything else like that. But, taking away the journey, the 2-year thing and the good performance that he did put in, Raphinha, again, was our key man, which is what disappointed me that he wasn't getting more of the ball in the second half. But, he's winning his interceptions, duels, created numerous chances as well.
He loves it.
Yeah, the guy's a diamond. And on Brownie's point, I will still put Kuehl ahead of him at the moment, simply because Kuehl was doing this against, like, you're talking top-class fullbacks back in that era, like, in the UEFA Cup. He would pull something out of nothing, just like Raphinha does. But, yeah, what I don't want is that people just to try and erase Kuehl like he's Chris Benoit in WWE. It's kind of mad how Harry Kuehl just, like, no highlights, like he never existed, but...
Who's this Kuehl guy talking about? Who's this Kuehl guy?
He's been erased for one reason.
He's been erased like Chris Benoit in WWE. Like they just don't mention him. They've actually put in WWE as a triple threat match at WrestleMania 20 between Shawn Michaels, Triple H. And that's it. They don't even put his name. It's kind of mad. But yeah,
I'd just like to say, like, just for all the viewers, that Harry Kuehl's family is fine. I'd just like to put that in if you know the Benoit story.
But he was Kuehl was he was that player for us back then, and I'm putting him in that bracket.
Yeah, because you got to remember as well, and what a lot of people have forgotten is at that time he was rated at 25 million. Now you have to think of the prices at around 99, 2000. Nobody was really going for those prices. That's how good the guy was. So that's we had him
75.
Yeah, but we had him at his absolute peak as well. So there is that.
But yeah, anyway. Just on Raphinha, finally, he loves it as well. Every corner he gets, he's waving the crowd. It's like an orchestra.
By the way, his set piece delivery. I mean, we'll get onto the goal, but his set pieces are they're just ferocious, aren't they? And they're always on the penalty spot. If it's a corner, the free kick, he's got such a whip with that left foot, hasn't he? He's a fabulous footballer.
Sorry. Just before we leave the Kuehl thing, because I know that you probably won't want this again, but John Knox, that goal against Villa in our 2-1 defeat is one of my favourites too. Off the chest, knee, and then bottom corner from long range. Beautiful.
Brownie, do you remember that? Do you remember that? Off the chest?
Yeah. Oh. It was a South Stand end, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So South Stand. I like the one against Chef Wednesday.
Was that? Whatever. Celebration, man.
Guys, I'm gonna have to
enough about Kuehl. Enough about Kuehl.
It's a shame how it ended because he was a good player. But
this should be it. We should just do some nostalgia pods instead. What I did want to, we touched on Raphinha there, and there's two other like little fragments that I want to touch on. Did you boys feel like the gap was a lot closer between the rest of our team and Raphinha in this game? Because I felt that in so many other games, it literally has just been Raphinha. The balls go to Raphinha. Every single attack is through Raphinha. The only out ball is Raphinha. The person dropping deep to get the ball is Raphinha. I thought in this game, because of others' elevated performances, the gap was a lot closer, which I was very encouraged by.
I think it was close. I think he'll always stand out, Raphinha. Yeah. But I think there was a lot more players on that pitch that were putting in top performances as well. I don't know what was that?
Wrestling move. Chris Benoit used to do the crippler cross places.
I wasn't a wrestler. So,
anyway, no more fuel.
We'll get away from fuel and WWF or WWE, whatever it's called. There wasn't as, like we said, Cagey said before, a lot of the play was going down the left. We weren't solely just looking to the right-hand side and just shoving it to Raphinha and turning into Raphinha FC. We weren't as much as that yesterday. I think he'll always stand out because of just how good he is. But I think there was a lot more key performances on the pitch yesterday as well, which is probably why it was probably our best performance of the season.
Brownie,
in the last few weeks, it's just been Raphinha. Yesterday, there was
that's exactly right, because what I was alluding to is when you look at the man of the matches and what Cagey was just talking about there are a few man of the matches that we can talk about. We're not just talking about Raphinha again as the man of the match.
Yeah, and also, and I'm sure we'll come on to Forshaw as well, but Forshaw being there as a natural central midfielder allowed Calvin Phillips not to run around like a dog chasing his tail in the game. Calvin Phillips didn't have to do so much pressing against three people this time. And you're talking about Leicester's midfield. So that was another benefit of having Adam Forshaw in there as a natural central midfielder.
It was so good just to see an anchor in there. And it's been that long, but we forget that Forshaw was key before he got injured at the start of that championship season. He was there, passing it simple, just keeping the ball moving, not doing anything spectacular, but he was always popping in the right places. And it was just good to see that teams... Johnny Evans did it once, where we got the ball and came through a little bit, and you're thinking, someone just go close it down. But throughout the season, we've said it before, how many times teams have just come to Ellen Road and just had a centre-back just run straight through the middle and end up on the top of our box. And I don't recall seeing that yesterday. And I purely put that down to just having them two in there.
Yeah, Kate just said, first match I've missed, so of course that's our best. I mean, my dad went down. My dad's not been down in 6 years to Ellen Road.
No offence, Katie, but you can stay at home.
Yeah. And it was my dad's first performance as well. And I said, you jammy git seeing that. But as well with Raphinha, are we seeing a little bit of very nice combination, partnership, chemistry between him and Rodrigo? I feel it's developing every single week, and they've got a real understanding there. Obviously, both born in Brazil, but they're bringing a bit of spice, I think, together, and I think we're definitely seeing that partnership evolving. KG,
go to Brownie for this one, please.
I've always said Rodrigo looks better when Raphinha's on the pitch. He's just, again, he didn't pick the price tag. Do we want to see more from him? Yes. But he has got that, you can just see he's got that class about him. And with better players around, he's not in the Spain squad for the laugh. Do you know what I mean? He's a good footballer. You've got to be...
Brownie, I'm worried about what Cagey's going to do here, because I feel like he's going to drop a bomb.
No. Something about you to be in the Spain squad. That's what I'm saying. And he does have that element of class. Yes, he has the elements of when he's bloody hell, just release it up. But I do genuinely think that when he's got Raphinha next to him, I think he enjoys it more.
I think we'd be a less of a team with him outside that 11 now. 100%. KG, thoughts?
Yeah.
I should have asked you this beforehand. I didn't know you had a bit of a stipulation with this one, mate.
No. Listen, we don't need to go on to Rodrigo. Brownie said the best bit on Rodrigo, so let's go on to somebody else.
Okay, we'll move on then. But yeah, look, with regards to we've not even touched on the goals, fellas. Wonderful free kick from Raphinha, limbs in the south stand once again, which is fantastic to see. Then immediately for the second week on the bounce, we see the opposition responding within about, I think it was even quick. Well, it was even quicker this time. Harvey Barnes with another goal against Leeds United. I think Harvey Barnes is a fantastic player. I loved him at Leeds. I think we nearly signed him, but West Brom pipped him from us. But you know, caveat, he'd have been brilliant in this system as well. But Harvey Barnes gets the ball, and we're going to touch on this one. Have we got any criticism for A, Dallas, and B, Llorente? Should Llorente maybe show him the line, or are we just taking the step back and saying Harvey Barnes has scored one of the goals of the season there?
I've not watched it back. I was at the game and I haven't seen the game back or anything. All I will say is I'm behind it in the Kop, and as soon as he's hit it, that's going in the net.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's got to him in that position. Like I say, I was still celebrating. It was that quick. But as soon as he's left that boot, it's going in. So I'll leave this to Cagey because I haven't seen the goal back. I just remember seeing it bend round into the top corner and thinking, brilliant.
I don't even think it bent Brownie. It just did it.
Yeah, it was an arrow. It was a rocket. Yeah, and that's it for me. I'm not going at anybody for that. I did say about Dallas, you know, potentially could have cut it out from source, but once it landed on Barnes' foot and he hit it, you have to say fair play, man. It was a top class effort, and if that was something that I've been critical of our goals that we've been conceding. They haven't been those. They've been these scrappy, disgusting, could have been prevented goals. This one was just a hit of top quality. As soon as he hit it, I saw it was going in. I was like, well, fair play, Harvey Barnes. So sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say, great strike.
Yeah, I think he's some player, Barnes. He's always on the edge with us as well. I always think that man-for-man system really suits him. I think, you know, going 1 versus 1 against the fullback, and I think he definitely is the beneficiary against Leeds United a lot of the time. But I thought the reaction was very good. Spurred Leeds on. I thought, second half, we came out once again. Leeds were dominant, I thought. And we look at the Harvey Barnes goal and let's touch on it and be realistic with the amount of times we've got in and around the box and maybe attempted strikes. Dan James, Jack Harrison, Rodrigo. Harvey Barnes gets one opportunity, hits it postage stamp into the top corner. And you're just wishing at these points in these sort of attacking instances, Leeds had that sort of pedigree going forward, aren't you? Anyone?
Well, that's for me. We touched on the benches earlier on, didn't we? Late on in games, they're bringing on. I mean, I'm not going to be diplomatic like Cagey. They're bringing on Maddison. We're bringing on Roberts. That is the level that we're at, and I'm not knocking Roberts. I'm not knocking him. But because I don't think he did anything wrong when he came on. But God. That's the level. Yeah. That's the difference at the minute. And they're a team in Europe. This is going to be a big shout. I think Leicester have stagnated a little bit. I don't think they make top 6 this season. Just from what I saw yesterday. Whether that was because we were that good, I don't know. But I genuinely don't think they make top 6 this season. He said the R word. I don't care, Max. That is the difference. That is the difference. The quality that other teams can bring on.
Yeah. And listen, just on the Rodrigo thing, the only thing I'll say is it would be nice having it.
That's what I mean. No. I take a load of flack. I get hammered. For someone who's scored 2 in 64 games now. And you can't even mention Rodrigo, who's got 2 in his last 3.
And I'm sure that's impressive, I guess, but I would like a striker to have more goals than yellow cards. That's all I'm saying. Like that ratio.
He's not been playing as a striker, though.
Well, whatever he's doing up there, I would prefer him to have more goals than yellow cards. That's all I'm saying. He's leaning into Alan Smith territory. Remember that?
Yeah, but
Alan Smith had more yellow cards than goals.
But we all remember Alan Smith as the supplementary to Viduka, and he was fantastic in that era for Leeds. What I think Brownie is right there, Cagey, because when you're looking at that, you can't. I can't look at Rodrigo's performances and say he's a centre forward. He's not. He's for
So
me.
So would you be happier then with Rodrigo's performances if Bamford was in front of him? Would that be a difference? Would Rodrigo yellow cards to goals output be acceptable if Bamford's got 8 goals this season?
Yeah, I mean, we can't put that one on the screen, but that Solanum comments, that's tickled me. But no, what it is that it's even the commentator says something. Oh, you put it up.
Oh, man.
No, even the commentator said something about Rodrigo's been playing into form, and again, that's for me where you're seeing people only looking at 2 goals in the last 3 games kind of thing and not really seeing how this guy's playing. Like, if he's into form now, then the bar is on the floor. That's all I'm saying with Rodrigo.
What is it now? 10 in 36? I mean, it's not the worst return. In and out of the... honestly,
KG, stop being a hater, mate.
Yeah,
I'm not saying hater because there's at times where you all of them, we've said it. James frustrates you, Harrison frustrates you, Rodrigo frustrates you, Roberts frustrates you every sodding game. But
all I'll say,
what return do you want from him though?
No. All I'll say,
10 in 36 games, and I mean, he's not been our number 9.
It's not that. It's just very wasteful, and he always needs an extra 2-3 touches. He doesn't do anything sometimes with just one quick pass. There was a time where he could have had a shot straight away, and instead he dallied with the ball, and that's kind of what he does. I'm not on the Roberts bit where I think he's as bad as Roberts, but for me, he doesn't give us enough, and that's why I would say if everyone is fit. For me, you talk about players that would love playing with Raphinha. It would be Raphinha with Gelhardt behind and Bamford up front. That would be my ideal thing with Rodrigo on the bench. But that's all.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to get more of a sample size with Gelhardt, wouldn't it? It'll be interesting to see more of a sample size in the Premier League, more minutes in him. But I think overall, putting Rodrigo and Bamford in the same starting 11 is definitely a question. Does that work? But overall, it is interesting to see with Rodrigo. But, in that bracket, we're talking about wastefulness. I mean, realistically, aside from Bamford last season, I mean, our entire front line is wasteful. You look at James has come in. It's only been his first couple of games, but as a general individual, with the amount of balls he gets and the amount of runs he's able to go through during a game, take last season out of it, which you can't really do, I know. But you look at Jack Harrison as well. He's probably in that bracket, especially this season. So I think is that not just across the board then, KG, just going forward? You know what I mean? With like a Dan James and a Rodrigo.
I was just gonna while he's speaking.
Yeah, go on, Brownie. Go on.
I think
Jack Harrison
for the last 3 or 4 years going into the Championship, I think we've always been wasteful.
I do.
Times in the Championship, we'd have 19 shots and 3 on target. I think we've been like that for a fair few years, and it's not just solely on a Rodrigo or on a Roberts or on a James. I think it's across the board. We seem wasteful in that final third.
He's never been a goal scorer either, has he, Rodrigo?
No, he hasn't. But that's the whole thing. When he was at Valencia, he played more wide left. But right now, he's not getting into the team on the wide left, so he's having to play up front. And then when it was Bamford in there, if you remember, he was used as that midfielder, which is when people would run through our midfield like there was no one there. I just don't know. What I'm saying is basically I don't know what happens to him when everybody's fit. Obviously, I think Bielsa will continue to play him. But like someone saying there, 30 million on the bench, I mean, that's got nothing to do with we're in the Premier League. That's going to happen. These players can't determine if they're costing 30 million. That's like saying, well, we might as well put Calvin on the bench because he didn't cost anything. It doesn't work like that. The price tag doesn't mean anything.
When Bamford is back, hopefully they're all fit. I will be a lot happier that one of them is on the bench because I feel in games we've got nothing to come on. We've got nothing to change it. I mean, Gelhardt was injured. Roberts comes on, but other than that, and I'm saying Roberts comes on and he does do his bit. He changes the game. Take Roberts away from things. There's nobody else that can come on and change a game at the attacking end of the field. It is Roberts or nothing at the minute, and Gelhardt's slowly come into that bracket. But for the first 8 games of the season, it was right, Roberts is going to come on, and other than that, we'd have what, 2 centre backs, a midfielder, a keeper, a full back. We have nothing other than that as an outlet to come on. So it would be good when Bamford comes back that we've either got a James on the bench or a Harrison on the bench or Rodrigo on the bench, just something else that can come on and change a game.
Can we let's move on, because we're 56 minutes into the show.
Yeah,
And
I mean, like Tom there saying that I'm so negative. I don't get what's so negative about wanting an attacking player to have more goals and assists than yellow cards. I don't get it. But if that's negative, then I'm negative. But I've got standards that I want at this football club, and that's it.
Yeah, football is a game of opinions, 100%. Yeah. And let's touch on Adam Forshaw, shall we? It's been an hour in and we've not talked about the main talking point. Came back in, battled through mental health issues, 100% with regards to injuries. I think he's admitted that a couple of times. 2 years out, 4 years out of the Premier League. I thought his tempo was astronomical. He was fantastic in there. He dictated things. He was intelligent. His decision-making, I wish players in different positions had Adam Forshaw's IQ, football IQ, and decision-making ability when under pressure, never flustered. And I think we've seen it now when he was taken off against Arsenal. We sort of lost it a little bit in the midfield. When he came on against Norwich, I thought we were a little bit sturdier in the midfield and we saw the game out. There is a serious pattern here with this guy. And I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm not saying also that he's not going to get injured again, because he will get injured again. But for someone like a Lewis Bate to be on the bench watching that and watching exactly what he needs to do to be able to break into this side when he gets the opportunity, I think Adam Forshaw not only is a leader, but a perfect role model for someone like Lewis Bate. And I thought yesterday he was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, Gabamin at Everton, he came back for his first game after being out for 2 years, and he was very, very poor, and you get someone like Adam Forshaw coming back in as a comparative for someone who's been out for that period of time. Forshaw was absolutely fantastic, and I thought he elevated everyone's performance on the pitch, KG.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm surprised that Radrizzani kept his phone in his pocket after the game. So, he must have been saying, look at me now. But yeah, as a game, as a full 90 minutes, forget that he got substituted. He's pretty much near 90 minutes. He's exactly what we've been missing. And I think that's why so many people are talking it up as well, is because we haven't had that. We hadn't had a centre-back of theirs or a midfielder of theirs just running through us. He was there to make sure that wasn't happening. He was allowing Calvin to be a bit more free in his play as well. He wasn't having to do the work of 3 people. And he was trying to cause things on the offense as well. He was trying to get things going in attack, which was really good to see. He was trying to link plays in attack. I think at one point he did set something up for Rodrigo or Harrison, and both of them just left the ball. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but he was really good in this game. And it was really good to see. Look, I've wanted nothing more than this guy to prove me and everyone wrong, saying that, what is this guy going to do when he comes back? When is he coming back? And he did it. Just hopefully we can get this going for a consistent run of games. That's the ideal scenario for Leeds United. And good for Forshaw, man. I hope he had enjoyed his ice bath, rested up well, and is get ready for Spurs.
That's it, yeah. I mean, he'll have woke up yesterday so excited and buzzing, but he'll have also been very anxious and nervous. I mean, what happens if he would have broken down? What happens if he did get injured? It's game over, basically. Then that's the stage we've got to now with Forshaw. 2 years, this has to be his running the team, and he came through it unbelievably. I thought he was everywhere. I mean, I'm sure he will have done. I'm sure he's past completion 100%, but I don't recall him really giving the ball away. Nobody has 100% pass completion, but he got it, he gave it, he kept it simple. He just mopped up and did all the dirty work that never really gets praised. And he just, like you say, it was just an extra body in there, which just gave us that bit of solidarity.
Yeah, I think you're worried if you click, aren't you?
Yeah. He should have been worried before anyway, but yeah, he's been a non-factor in it. And like we said last week, it's a shame to talk about that likely, because he's one of the most likable guys in the team. But this isn't a sentimental business. If you're not performing on the pitch, then you can't play, and that's where he is right now.
And I mean, I think it was Bielsa in his post-match interview saying that how he's conducted himself and how he's gone about his business, everything. And I think that was echoed with how buzzing all the players were that he was back in the team. And
he loves him, doesn't he, Bielsa?
Yeah,
he really likes him.
it goes right back to when Bielsa first came in. He was the one player that he loved the most was Adam Forshaw, and obviously he's not been able to use him for 2 years, and he's moulded Calvin Phillips into this England international. Listen, I'm not saying he moulds Adam Forshaw into an England international, but he was the one player that he loved when he first came. He wanted Adam Forshaw to be that kingpin in that midfield, and he's been without him for 2 years, and there's been a reason why he's stuck by him for so long with all the injuries. And yes, yesterday I've said was the best performance of the season, but it was only one game. We need to see that before we say Leeds are back. I think it's the same for Forshaw. It was unbelievable to get him back, but yes, it is only one game. If we're still having this conversation come January, then it's been like a new signing in November, isn't it?
What I'll say as well about that, Brown, is that our form, say under Bielsa, has been like it was on the weekend mostly. So the previous 10 games have been the dip in form, if you will. So hopefully, if these guys are back playing that way, then we've got Leeds United back to where they were. But obviously, the form wasn't really good in the first part. But if we can get that going again with Forshaw staying healthy, I think we're going to be more than all right anyway. Unlike you two in the group chat, I'm not talking about no relegation. You too, man. I woke up and there was like 50 messages and not one of them were about Leeds people.
That's because someone, and it's going to remain nameless, was trying to tell me that Norwich could make a surge to stay up because
I don't know. Yeah, ridiculous, KG. Why are you saying that?
No. I'm just saying. I think we're going to be okay. So yeah.
I've said all along that Leeds are not going to go down. We're going to be nowhere. No. I'm naming no names, but Connor, Leeds are not going down.
Get me out from under that bus. But no,
just touching on that with the where we are, I was amazed to read it, and I haven't checked it, which I like to do before I say something. But I read that we're only 3 points worse off to where we were after 11 games last season, and I couldn't believe that.
That was on my notes. To be fair,
I couldn't believe that. And if that's true, I mean, we're doing.
Yeah, I think what it was though. I think it was the manner of the performances what was making people concerned.
Agreed.
I think you have to put it in full context, and let's not forget about how the first 10 games went. And again, we've got 11 points in 11 games, point per game. So I think that's what people were more concerned about rather than our points total, because we lost games last season like 4-1, 4-3. But we was like, well, that was a good outing anyway. We played really well, etc. And we haven't really been able to say that up until this game here that we drew. So, yeah.
You're right, Kay. I mean, we got done 4 at Palace, but even after that game, it didn't feel like a 4-1. There was
we're well in it. We're well in that game.
And then we got done at home to Leicester 4. So I was amazed to see that we were only 3 points worse off from last year, which without our focal point we're not a million miles away.
Yeah, no, 100%. It is interesting, isn't it? When I've got that down on my notes, and 3 points off it is pretty crazy when we've been speaking about it. But I think what KG said, it's a definite caveat, as I always mention on here. But the fact that Leeds' performances yesterday is really why I'm positive today. It's really why I'm enthused, because I saw something. I saw us pressing. I saw us recovering the ball high. I saw us being aggressive. I saw little bits in there, like KG said about Phillips going in the referee's ear and Raphinha doing dazzling things again, and a bit of a partnership there between Rodrigo and Raphinha, in my personal opinion, is forming a bit, but just individual things which helped me.
Brownie, stop it, man.
Getting through that. As soon as I mentioned the R word, and we don't know which R we're talking about now.
And can we just mention?
We're like the Barcelona of old. Ronaldinho, Rivaldo.
Oh God,
that's who we are.
Can we just mention as well that we was winning second balls. Second balls were being won by us as well, which was really good to see. We haven't really seen it a lot as well, but yesterday we was recovering the second ball so many times, so that was another plus.
Massive. I mean, how quiet was Tielemans? How quiet was Vardy? That's no coincidence that their key players were really quiet. I think that's how well of a good a job we did do in that middle. They weren't getting them second balls to release Vardy. The only time they were trying to get Vardy was off a goal kick from Schmeichel. He started to try and kick it long to try and get Vardy in behind. They weren't getting them balls in the middle, and like when they won the league, they had Danny Drinkwater just putting balls down the sides. they weren't winning them balls to be able to do that. So I thought we did a proper good job on them in the middle. To be fair, I think you're right.
Yeah, and Laura's made a really good point here. She said, first time I'm thinking we're not going down. And I think, listen, as the lads have alluded to, I'm maybe, from what I saw so far, I wasn't that positive at all. I mean, that's probably the... that's
Connor, is that your burner account?
Yeah, it's my phone here. Favorite name's Laura. But yeah, no, listen, I think that was it. I'd not seen a performance. And as KG alluded to, you have to see performances because that's the long term. That's what we're going to be seeing throughout a season, hopefully. And what I saw at the weekend really, really encouraged me. So that's great news. In terms of, let's get on to it. Ref watch, Darren England was the referee. I thought he was really, really poor. Every single sort of challenge he was blowing up. Leicester were playing to him, I thought, quite a lot. I feel I'm being fair there as well. I don't think it was that outrageous to say that. He really didn't let the game flow, I thought. And what the referees have been told at the start of the season is to try and let the game flow. And I think he really came unstuck there. KG, will go to you before we get to the onslaught of David up there.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got a lot to say about him. I'm going to leave this to Brownie, but I will say it just seems that a few of these referees are falling back into old habits with blowing up for players just falling over the ball at a slight touch. They need to cut that out and get back to how it was in the first 3 games of the season where challenges could go in and referees weren't blowing for them. They're starting to fall back into those old traps again of players just falling over the ball and giving the free kick instead of giving the handball against that player. So I want to see that come back again like we saw at the first 3 games of the year.
I think you mentioned it, Connor. I think Cage just said it as well. It's that inconsistency. It just drives you insane. The same foul could be done for both teams, and you just know that if it's a Leeds player doing it, it's a foul. And I mean, I'm sure fans up and down the country will say it's the same for their club. I'm sure they will. But I think we've had the 2 referees in the last 2 weeks who, whenever I see them reffing a Leeds game, them 2 are so whistle happy the other way. Anthony Taylor more so, but down England as well. Whenever I see them reffing a Leeds game, you ain't getting anything.
I wonder if there's like familiarity, you know, with players who are in the Premier League. Let's say a Yuri Tielemans or a James Maddison, hypothetically. I wonder if they sort of have a little bit of a previous relationship with the referees on the pitch. You know, they've spoken to them before. They've got a little bit of a camaraderie there, maybe before and after the match. And I do wonder if maybe that has a little bit of influence on small little decisions. It's an interesting talking point.
Yeah, I mean, I said that on my channel. I think it was a few weeks ago, Connor. I said, when you have a referee, and I'm talking about Wayne Rooney here, calling him Wazza, that's when you know you got to get that referee out of the game. Like he should not be calling Wayne Rooney Wazza, you know. So there is a familiarity there, and that's why you see them favouring so many big sides. You know, big clubs will always get the majority of the decisions. But just like the Liverpool West Ham game, Creswell foul on Henderson. He was talked about over and over again, but it was way less worse than what Saïs did to Raphinha. But that's what we're talking about here.
This is what I mean. I was going to touch on that, and this is no knock on Darren England because he wasn't in the VAR booth. But that issue with Vardy, obviously in the ground, you don't know what's going on. You know what the incident is, but you can't see. You don't know what they're looking at, what pictures. But that incident with Vardy, and they went on the edge of the box, must have been looked at for 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, easy. It felt like a lifetime in that ground. Yet at the other end, there was an issue with Raphinha going down, and it just seems it's very selective on what's getting looked at, what's not. You have the Dan James incident at Newcastle, doesn't get looked at.
Brownie, you know that one you've just spoken about as well, that Raphinha one. I've watched that back, and I've slowed it down. There is such an argument that that's a penalty because
this is what I mean.
Because he beats Pereira to it. He goes to the side. He doesn't drag him back as well. Pereira goes as if he's dragged him back. He doesn't drag him back at all. And then Pereira falls on his legs. And it's just, we've really not got the look of the green with a lot of penalty decisions this season.
And this is what I mean with this selective of what's looked at and what's not. I was at the other end of the ground and I haven't watched the game back, so it's good that you have seen it. But in real time in the game, it looks like Raphinha's beating him and then he's down in the box. And it goes out for a goal kick or free kick and nothing's looked at, not even a signal of, I'm just going to have a quick look at that. Yet at the other end, when Vardy goes down, it's 2 minutes. And it just seems so selective. I mean, there was a couple of late challenges. The one where Raphinha's done that bit of skill and Dallas has got crunched on the halfway line. It's a yellow card.
That was awful. That as well. It looked
no
like he went.
question about it. It's
It
a
looked
yellow
like he
card.
went. It looked like he went over as well. They didn't slow that one down, but it looked like he went on his ankle a little bit there. Another argument
Breaking
there.
play, I think, right, go book him. Nothing. Yeah. You have the Anthony Taylor at Norwich. Cody Driver comes on within 60 seconds. He's put one tackle in and he's booked.
Yeah.
There's just so much of inconsistencies. It's frustrating. But honestly, I'm sure every fan up and down the country, like I say, complains about the referee. But it just seems that the bigger teams get VAR things looked at so much more.
And somebody, Bren, I think is his or her name was talking about the Phillips one, because you could look at that one too. Their player was just looking directly at Phillips and looking to block him off in the box, and Phillips goes down. He's like, "Well, what now?" He looks at the ref like, "What are you going to do?" And
Tielemans, wasn't it?
Was it Tielemans? Yeah. But he was only looking at Phillips, nothing to do with the ball, and then he blocked him off.
I knew there was another incident, and it was at the other end, and I couldn't remember it, but it was that one. It was from a corner, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It got flat. And again, there's a breaking play. Just at least let the crowd think, all right, at least they've looked at it. But there's just nothing. But when it's the other team, they've stood there going like this. Like let's look at 400 pictures and see if we can find a penalty from somewhere. But it's.
And you do feel with Raphinha as well. But look at his consistencies and maybe the decisions that have gone against him. We know that Raphinha is not a cheat. He doesn't dive. He doesn't roll around. So if he's like sort of honing in on goal, he's going to try score. He's not going to try dive like we see a lot in the Premier League. So you feel like the referees maybe would have a grasp on that. But yeah, it just seems it's a real frustration, because once again, I mean, we talk about Bamford being back in the squad, fellas, but if Leeds United had the penalties that we probably should have had this season, we might not be anywhere near the bottom of the table.
I'm convinced with that Newcastle game, if that Dan James penalty gets given, we're 2-0 up after 25 minutes. We don't lose. That's
staggering. That one. That one was absolutely staggering. I couldn't believe
say it all
that.
season. That was before Bruce got sacked. The fans weren't happy. 2-0 up after 25 minutes. That place would be toxic.
And Burnley, the one where Harvey Barnes poleaxes Dallas midair.
Yeah, it's
Ashley Barnes. Yeah.
What did I say? What did I call him?
Harvey
Barnes. I've just got Harvey Barnes on my mind.
Is there an element of, and a lot of clubs have said this, and I've seen a lot of it on social media about the bigger teams getting VAR decisions looked at more. Is there an element of the Premier League is worth that much money and Champions League is worth that much money, that they know who's going to be in the top 4 or 5 places and they cannot get it wrong? They have to be certain that decision is right, because it will end up costing millions.
Just on the Newcastle one, it doesn't help that no one of our players appealed. So you're not giving the VAR room a decision to have a look at it. Everyone just got on with the game, if you remember. And then you start until you look at the replay and say, how is that not a penalty? Remember, even though it's VAR, it's still human. So they need to see people react and say, well, what are we reacting to there? And then them having a look. If no one reacts, there's no reason for them to look.
Which they did do yesterday. And I just remembered another one, and I don't know if it was checked. The Roberts thing at the end, the handball, was that looked at on TV? I don't know. Right near the end, the ball's got played over.
Apparently they looked at it. Yeah, apparently they looked at it. Yeah, no penalty. So there you go. Lads, I'd like to finish. I know. I'd like to finish off with just some ratings that I've got for the starting 11, and if you guys disagree with them, just let me know, and we can, get your ratings in the comment section below as well. What I'd like to do over the international break is, obviously we've got 2 weeks, so I'd like to get maybe 2 or 3 of these in. We could do one on a Wednesday or Thursday if everyone's wanting that. Get it in the comment section below or whatever, and we can get some discussion points in there. I know a lot of you guys have been asking about Bamford, Liam Cooper, and all this sort of stuff, so we could do a nice little podcast on a feature podcast. But Elan Meslier, lads, just give you ratings as well. So I'm going to go to Brownie and then KG. Meslier, I gave a 7 yesterday. Brownie, what would you give him?
Yeah, 6. It didn't really. It sounds strange. Didn't really have much to do, did he?
No.
6, 7 is around there. 6 or 7. He didn't do anything harmlessly wrong. He saved us when Tielemans was going through. I think, like I say, I haven't watched it back, but it looks like he smothered the ball when Tielemans capitalised. Out at 6, 7 ballpark area. Yeah, 6.5. Can you do them?
Cage.
Yeah, 6. There wasn't enough for him to do in that game, and again, that's testament to our outfield players. So 6 is fair, and he couldn't do nothing about that goal. So yeah.
Stuart Dallas, I've gone with a 7/8, but I'll go with a 7.
Yeah, I'm 7 too. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
7.
He reminds me of the James Mill, doesn't he? He'll give you a 7 out of 10 every week.
Definitely. Yeah. Llorente was an interesting one. A lot of people had very different opinions on Llorente. I went for an 8. I thought he was good. Couple of mistakes in there. Maybe an 8's too high. A lot of people giving him 7s. Some people giving him 9s. But I'd go with an 8, maybe. Teetering on a 7. I'm not convinced. I'm not sure on the Llorente
I'll probably
one.
Go, I mean, at the end of the day, him and Cooper kept Vardy to a minimal effort. Vardy didn't have a shot on target. We'll get into Cooper, I'm sure, because I've backed Cooper the last few weeks. I've said, do you know what I mean? Everybody has a blank canvas for every game. I think Cooper's been really good the last few weeks. Wolves especially. I thought he was very good. He nearly cost us yesterday a couple of times.
So what you're saying for Llorente?
Connor's like, yeah, but what about Llorente? Yeah.
We've got him next, Brownie. We've got Cooper next.
But that's what I mean. It's hard because one's going to be higher than the other, but I don't want to absolutely hammer the other one. Llorente, I'd probably go 7. There was a few hairy moments in the first half. Okay,
Cage.
Yeah, it was a 7. Llorente's had way better games than that. What I would give him 8s and 9s for. So yeah, 7 is standard.
I went with, and this is probably going to spark up a lot of conversation. Guys, there is nearly 600 of you in the chat still, so thank you so much for sticking with us. Like, comment, and subscribe. Get over to Cage's channel, subscribe. Get over to Brownie's Twitter. Make sure you follow it. The links will be in the description below. And we're going to be doing more of these as well, so stay tuned for the debrief. Cooper, I've gone with a 6. Maybe that's a bit harsh because I thought, I think what Brownie said there is a really good point. I think generally, he was good, and I think the thing with Cooper is people don't notice a lot of what he does right and what he does okay. I think people hone in his mistakes, but I still think there is if Melee isn't on point yesterday, Vardy's in really, and I couldn't believe that wasn't pulled back. By the way, that looked like a monstrous foul on Vardy, and that wasn't pulled back. Advantage was, and Melee came out to Tielemans. For me, that looked like a Billy Sharp moment, Billy Sharp Cooper, and I felt Vardy it was. But I felt Vardy was maybe a little bit in his head, yesterday. So I've gone for a 6. Brownie, what would you go for Coops?
I think first half. I think that a lot of the balls that were getting in behind with James were coming from Cooper.
Yeah, they were.
A lot of the diagonal balls, which were creating a lot of our attacks. I think there was a back pass just after half time where he's absolutely hammered it into Medley. It's gone out for a corner. That wasn't ideal. There was the one where I didn't even see it.
There's a couple of pass backs, wasn't there? There was
a couple of pass backs where they just seemed to be in. But on the flip side of it, Vardy's had no shot on target. A lot of our attacks came from the Cooper's ball to begin with. I'm going to go with a 6 because I've given Llorente a 7.
KG, Brownie, I want this to remain this performance as well. I know there's a lot of people in the chat with respect talking generally about Cooper and what they think about this performance.
On Cooper, the goal got disallowed that went out for the corner, but was Cooper fouled? Again, it was the other end of the pitch, so you two are obviously better than me and people in the chat will have a better. It was the disallowed goal that came from the corner. It was where Cooper got across, put it out for a corner, and then went down. Was he fouled? Was he nowhere near him?
Oh, that was a mistake. Cooper was that was quite poor from him actually. Yeah, it was a bit of an unfair. Leeds were just playing themselves into trouble for bits in that game, and that was one of them again. So yeah, I feel he had a bit of a hairy game yesterday. KG.
Yeah. For me, it's got to be a 5. And then again, this isn't nothing to we're doing this game by game. If anyone that knows me, and there's quite a few that subscribe to my channel, know that I can separate things, and I'm just going by the game itself yesterday. Yes, he did have some good passes to Dan James, and all credit to him. That bumps his score up. But the time when he did hack down Vardy, he then gets up and almost pulls Tielemans back, and then just he just remembered, no, I can't do that, and just had to let him through. Yeah. These are kind of things that people are talking about where it's like, oh my God, because we were literally under no pressure. And then you talk about the back pass that could have gone in if it was on target. The passing back, I know he has to refer to Llorente because Llorente is our better centre back or on the ball. That's quite obvious. But just sometimes the back passes, he could cut a few of these out and just not have Meslier having to do so much stuff there. So for me, yeah, on his performance yesterday, it wasn't his worst game, and that's kind of a worry, but it was a 5 for me.
Okay, Pascal Maldini, I've gone with a 8, and I am going to contextualise this because he's a centre-back going left-back, and he made the most forward passes, and I thought his overlaps were brilliant. I just thought Ademola Lookman was non-existent, and as Scott Lightning has said here, Stroup is a quality operator, and I thought he was yesterday. I've gone with an 8. Brownie?
Yeah, I agree. Like you say, he's playing out of position, which is never easy. He's playing against a team in Europe. The winger, I always look at fullbacks. What's the winger done? The winger got took off at the end of the day. He got took off. So he's done his job on him. And he did offer that overlap that we've missed quite a lot. I'd agree with Gail. 8.
Yeah.
And you, Connor.
Yeah, all around?
Yeah, 8's all around. Yeah, definitely. Well, I spoke about reasons why for Struijk earlier. I stick to those.
Beautiful. Okay, we'll move into the midfield. Calvin, I thought he was helped out massively by Forshaw in terms of balance. He didn't look stretched. He didn't look completely isolated. We actually had a midfield, which was nice. I think Cage's comments were really good as well in terms of him having that leadership and going up to the referee, which we don't see as much of, in my opinion, with Calvin. But that was great to see him getting frustrated a little bit and taking that sort of captain's mantle a little bit. I've gone with a 7 for this one, Brownie.
Yeah, Calvin is an interesting one this season, isn't he? Without getting slaughtered by people.
Careful. You'll get away with it. You'll get away with it with Roberts.
I'm not hammering Phillips by any stretch of the imagination. That's not what I'm saying. Is he hitting the heights of last year? Is all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Is he hitting the heights of? Is he playing injured? He took his top off at Arsenal after the game, and his shoulder was. I'd never seen as much strapping on a shoulder in all my life. Yesterday, though, because we're not generalising, 7. Did a good job.
7.
Didn't do anything wrong. He's passing. He was better than Norwich. It was a lot better than the Norwich game. It was more of a Calvin performance, which we need to see more. I think having Forshaw next to him will help him loads because. I'm a bit too harsh. He's been in there on his own. Let's be right. He's been doing a job of 3 players. So maybe that's why we've not seen the Calvin of last year. But Forshaw helped him massively yesterday.
Let's get on to the man in question. I've gone for a 9. For Adam, for me, he was man of the match. I know KG mentioned Raphinha. The only thing I would say with Raphinha is maybe in the second half, he went off a little bit, whereas I thought Forshaw was consistently brilliant, ticking the ball over. Like Brownie said, I don't think he ever lost the ball. And Leeds just looked, in a game where last season at Ellen Road, Tielemans ran the game. I thought in this game, they had nothing centrally. I thought they were pretty poor there. So I've gone with a 9 with Forshaw. Brown?
Yeah. Don't see what 8.5. If I give halves out, 8.5 in between that. Better than an 8, not quite a 9. I'd go in that 8.5 bracket. I thought it was brilliant.
KG?
Yeah, I'm going with an 8 on this one, and it's not minimizing his performance. It's just that we've been so starved of a midfielder like that. It just seems like we've seen something brand new, but it's something that it is something that we should have had all along. But that's not taking anything away from Forshaw yesterday. He was superb for us. Like you say, a couple of hairy moments here and there, but that's to be expected. The guy's got a lot of rust on him. So for me, a solid 8 out of 10.
Solid 8. Okay, Jack Harrison. I went with a 6 yesterday. A lot of people were atting me on Twitter and saying, Connor, I can't believe you're giving him anything more than a 5. So people who think I'm always hammering him, I'm giving him a 6 here. I thought there were a few good moments in the first half. Nice effort, tipped over by Kasper Schmeichel. Thought there was way too much play going down that left-hand side, which he couldn't make anything come out of. And obviously that miss had to go in, and that wins us the game. So I've gone with a 6. Brownie?
I think I've got if I'm giving Cooper 5, I think I've got to go down the same route with Harrison, because I think Harrison was our poorest player, possibly. He was getting on the ball, he was lively, he was driving at people, but when you're missing from a yard out, you can't be. He's got to bring your score down a little bit, and it wins us the game. That
9s. God, we'll get to that 10 sometime. Thanks, Sujal. KG.
Yeah, for me, it's a 5. It's a shame Brownie went ahead, but Brownie's echoed what I was going to say. You can't just judge Cooper by that, and then Harrison have a poor showing up front, and then give him a 6. So for me, it's a 5 also.
Yeah. I think the credit in the bank thing, it definitely does go a long way, but I think that's where I struggle a little bit on YouTube, because what I'll try and do is do it game by game, but I understand completely why people have credit in the bank from seasons gone by. But I think that gets me in a lot of hot water as well, because I try and judge it on a game by game basis. But yeah, there you go. That's football. That's opinions. Daniel James, everybody. I've gone with a 7. The reason I've given him a 7, I think he was better than Jack Harrison. I thought his press was very, very good. Set Leeds off in a nice way. His wayward efforts were frustrating, but I don't think there was any clear-cut opportunities. I think he's just desperate for his first Leeds goal. But yesterday, I thought his pressing was on point, which I felt helped Leeds get up the pitch, and I thought he was the instigator to that. So I've given him a 7. Brownie?
Yeah, 6.5, in between that 6 and 7 bracket for me. I think the press helps him. Like Michael says, 6.5. I think the press, he won the ball back quite a few times for us, quite high up the pitch, nicked it in good areas. He really helped us with that. Lively. He did have a good chance in the second half, not quite as good as Rodrigo or Harrison's, where we won the ball back high up. Jack loves a cul-de-sac. For me, 6.5. 6.5, which again, we're giving Harrison 5, we're giving Dan James 6.5. I think that tells a picture, doesn't it? If we're giving our attacking players scores like that, I think that paints a picture for me.
Definitely. KG?
6 for me. 6. He pressed well. He did everything right up until the final third, which hopefully we also will work with him and get better at. But yeah, it has to be a 6.
Yeah, it's always been his criticism, hasn't it?
The panel, the fans, everyone in the chat, we're all saying similar scores. Isn't it a beautiful world?
Yeah, I think Harrison's was interesting, especially on Twitter. But Twitter is not a metric for anything. No. I mean, I was getting 1s back and getting called this, that, and the other for giving him a 6. So
give me the Twitter handle. Let me at him.
Oh no!
Nobody wants that, Brownie. Nobody wants that. They'll delete the tweet. KG's new favourite man, the one that shall not be spoken of, Rodrigo. So we've now got Roberts for Brownie, Rodrigo for KG. I need to find someone. I've probably got Harrison, haven't I, to be fair. So Rodrigo, for this one, I'm going to go a KG first. I've gone with a 7. Thought, as I said, him and Raphinha, I thought I'd quite a nice link-up play. And I thought he was decent yesterday. But KG, my man, what were we going for yesterday?
Listen, I don't want the narrative to go that I dislike Rodrigo. That's not what I want here. No. There is no narrative to draw here about Rodrigo and myself. There isn't. It's just that, like, when a ball's coming over and you're not the most prolific of strikers, don't take it first time. Take the touch and then blast it. Don't try and do a volley and then it goes into the side netting. He's not about that kind of game. He just isn't. But listen, Rodrigo for me. 7, just about.
Yeah,
and I mean like just about.
I agree with KG. It is. I go 7, but purely because I gave Dan James a 6.5. I think he was better than Dan James. He links the play up quite well. He was getting in good pockets. He was driving at teams. He was pressing as well. 7 for me.
Yeah, definitely. And the man of the moment, as always, Raphinha. I've gone with an 8. Once again, just phenomenal in terms of his skills and getting Leeds up the pitch in that first half. I thought he was one of his best halves for Leeds. I thought he was, and we're saying that every single week. He's getting better and better. A stat went up about his goal contributions. I think since he's been at Leeds. In that period of time, he's only second to Bruno Fernandes now in terms of goal contribution. So I think it's like 20 or 21, whereas Fernandes has been 28 or something like that. But it's an unbelievable stat.
Interesting on that, Connor. You're right. I saw that one as well. And how many of them Fernandes goals were penalties?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we all know how elite he is, playing in this Leeds team as well. And I think I thought he was fantastic. And the second half, he dropped off. But I mean, I thought that was Leeds. It was a bit weird. It was like we just started playing down the left, which was a bit odd. But anyway, yeah. So I've gone with an 8. Brownie.
Yeah, just touching on that, they dropped off. He changed it. It was that weird substitution where they brought on Amati for who did he take off? Took off a forward and brought on Amati. And they went to a back three with wing backs, and it just sort of like nullified us a little bit, and that's probably why we didn't get as much joy. So yeah, I'm going to go 8 for Raphinha, purely because of that second half. It just dropped off a little bit, but I mean, who can keep if you're keeping up that first half performance for full 90 minutes every week? Flipping heck. Yeah. So yeah, 8 for me.
KG, where would we be without him?
No, it doesn't bear thinking about, does he? He clearly is our best player, and you can tell, because if you got rival fans as mates, they're always talking about him, saying he could do so much for our club and everything else like that. And it's like, well, how much money have you got? But yeah, for me, I would say an 8. It would have been a 9 if he continued to see more of the ball in the second half, because I think he would have possibly pushed us to a winning goal. So for me, it's another solid 8. So him and Forshaw, for me, both solid 8s in this game.
Yeah.
Okay, and I guess we'll touch on the manager, his substitutions, his lineup. I mean, I've got to give Bielsa, I guess, an 8. An 8. I thought he made the right substitutions. As I say, I'm not generalising here about Roberts. I thought he came on and the pace of the game sort of suited him with 10 minutes to go. I thought Cresswell, that was an interesting sub, but we had a corner right at the end, and I thought, imagine if he gets his head on this. And overall, the lineup, listen, Stroup at left back, Forshaw back in the side. In fact, I'm going to give him a 9 because there's a lot of brave shouts there from Marcelo Bielsa. So I've gone with a 9, and you got to give him a 9, haven't you, Brownie?
The Cresswell substitution, and Forshaw was stretching off for a good 10 minutes before he came off. So I was surprised it didn't happen earlier. So it might have seemed odd, but he was gone. He was shot to pieces, was Forshaw. I think it was just before he came off, he ended up with the ball in our box and he had 3 men round him, and somehow he got out of it, but he just looked like his legs had gone a bit. So Bielsa, great substitution, bringing on Roberts. Love that one all the time. So I'm going with an 8. An 8. I think the strike one, is he not forced into that? I don't want it to sound, but who else plays there?
Liam McCarron.
But yeah, no. In fact, 8.5, 9, because you know what? We made a team in Europe look bang average.
Yep.
We made a team in Europe look bang average. He's put 2 midfielders in there, like last year. Tielemans had the freedom of Ellen Murd last year, didn't he? So he's just got everything. He's got everything right, and it was John's right. It was Bielsa ball back at its best.
I'm worried about KG just sitting there and grinning and sort of giving us a bit of a smirk here. Are you going to give another bomb, or are you just going to go with?
You guys are acting like I've said like one of the greatest players ever is one of the worst. Listen, no. Bielsa, yeah, 8. I think 8's a good score. The Cresswell thing as well, and more Cresswell stocks here because I'm a big Cresswell fan here. He came on, and not only did he mop up in that defensive midfield role, he hit one hell of a crossfield pass as well that started an attack. So, more props to Charlie Cresswell here.
One thing on the subs, and we touched on this earlier on in the show. With better subs, do we make a sub earlier? And I'm thinking this a lot of times. Norwich away last year, and apart from the Shaq at one because he got injured, we're bring
Bamford on.
We're bringing on our attacking players, and with respect to Roberts, he got 8 minutes last week. 8 with better quality players on the bench. Do we make subs earlier? I mean, there's no answer to that. We don't know, but
yeah, I don't know, because I think with Harrison, I think he wants to give Harrison a bit more game time. I think if he feels in his head now, if he takes Harrison off after 50 minutes again, it's going to do him no good. So I think he was just giving him more time in the game to try and get into it.
Let him play through it, try and get himself out of that hole. Yeah,
he'll get back into form. We know he will, because I think you've got to get back into form when you Jack Harrison, because as you both alluded to, he always wants the ball. and he's always going to try. So that's going to be something's going to come off, and then hopefully that'll kickstart it confidence-wise. But guys, we're going to have to leave it. It has been an hour and 40 minutes. Thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute show this time out. We joined at 8 o'clock. It's now, 20 to 10? God. Work in the morning. Christ alive. But yeah, thank you so much for joining as ever. This has been the debrief with myself, Conor McGilligan, David Brown, and KG. Sujal has left us a £4.49 super sticker. Thank you so much, Sujal. I'll get you commenting next time, mate. But thank you so much once again. We'll be back, lads. I think it's a good idea. We're getting absolutely hounded in the chat to do another one this week. Think it's a good idea at some point. We will sort something out. We will listen to you guys. Make sure you get over to Brownie's Twitter. That will be in the link in the description below. Make sure you get over to KG's channel. The link will be in the description below. And of course, make sure you're locked in to One Leeds for the debrief and loads of other content coming your way over the season. Guys, thank you so much. And we will see you in a bit. Cheers.